They sued us over inches, so we brought the stink. Growing up, my family ran a quiet little cattle farm, tucked away peacefully out in the country. Life was good, simple, private, and steady. That was until some city folks bought a tiny sliver of land just behind ours. At first, we didn't think much of it. We figured we'd all just keep to ourselves and maybe wave once in a while. But before we even had a chance to meet them, a fancy lawyer called my dad, claiming our back fence was over their property line by 2 to 5 inches in some spots. No handshake, no neighborly hello, just a legal threat over a few inches of dirt. My dad, the kind of man who believes in a firm handshake over a signed paper, called them up and offered to meet. He asked if a few inches really mattered that much and offered several fair solutions to fix the issue, but they weren't interested. They demanded we move the fence immediately or face them in court. Turns out, their plans for a big fancy house depended on every last inch of land because of some setback rule. Dad came home from that meeting, set his old cap down, and told Mom real quiet like, well, looks like we got ourselves the worst kind of neighbors. Sure enough, they sued. We had 2 weeks to tear down and rebuild the fence, and as every farm kid knows, that meant I was drafted into full-time labor. It cost us time, money, and a whole lot of blisters, but we got the job done just as spring was settling in. Then came the fun part. Right after they finished building their mansion and moved in, Dad woke me up early one Saturday morning. We hopped into the farm truck and headed to the hardware store, loading up on posts, wire, and wood. I kept asking what we were doing, but Dad just kept grinning and telling me to wait. We built a small corral and a shed right up against our new back fence, as close to their shiny new house as legally allowed. The next day, a friend dropped off 6 goats into the pen. Now, if you've never smelled goats fed on kitchen scraps and farm leftovers, buddy, it's something fierce. Within days, the stench was strong enough to make your eyes water from across the field. I had to ride out every day to feed and clean up after them, and even halfway there, I'd be gagging. When we cleaned the goat mess, we dumped it right next to their side of the fence, building up a giant, reeking pile. Every time the wind shifted, it blew the stink straight into their dream house. They got mad, of course, but instead of coming to talk to us like normal folks, they called their lawyer again, demanding we get rid of the goats. Guess what? They lost. Our area allows farming and livestock, and Dad made darn sure we stayed within every single legal limit. The goats didn't bother us, or any of our other neighbors, just the fancy city folks right behind us. By winter, once the ground froze and the smell wasn't as strong, Dad sold the goats for meat, but he left the corral standing and even stacked up more farm supplies nearby, dropping hints that our livestock business might grow come spring. The neighbors screamed and cursed at us from their back porch, but Dad just stood there smiling and said real calm, yeah, smell might get pretty strong around here. By January, they sold their house at a loss and hightailed it back to the city. As soon as they were gone, we tore down the corral, spread the leftover goat mess as fertilizer over our pasture, good for the land after all, and welcomed the new neighbors, folks who turned out to be the friendliest, most down-to-earth people you could hope for. We're still tight with them to this day. Moral of the story, don't mess with a farmer on his own land.